Hi.
Hi, how are you? Hello, everybody. It is Lunch and Learn Live time. Oh, I got to go and manually share this in the Facebook group because that's the way this works now, this sharing thing. So let me,
Oh, you'd think they'd make it easy.
I don't know, Facebook made
Things
some
that come
kind of
up for.
update or something, so it does that. How are you? How was your weekend?
I'm good. The weekend was gorgeous.
I
Very
saw
nice.
you were out in the sunshine, enjoying the sun.
Yes, we actually went to Lorraine's girls. They both graduated this year. Her oldest from college and her youngest from high school. So they
Oh,
had a little duo party, which was super cute.
awesome. I love that. Love that. Love that. Good. Good. Welcome to those of you who are just joining in and watching us. We are super glad to have you here today. Really awesome. So we got a lot to talk about. I don't know how many of you just saw, but I did a live just a little while ago with one of our community members, Mandy, and it was, guys, it was really great. If you haven't seen it, go back and find it in the scroll. It was like, like an hour ago. So if you look in the scroll, it's going to be June 10th at, I guess, 11:30 ish, right around there is where you'll find it. But we were talking about, I had asked Mandy a little bit about, how, because she's busy, right? She's a mom, she's a teacher, she does all of these community things, she's a coach, her time is like everywhere. And it's like, well, how do you make sure that you're also taking care of your health? Because for how many of us, that's a thing where we're like, okay, well, how do I fit myself in? How do I fit my health in with all these other things that are going on? And she gave this really wonderful analogy, Carissa, that I just thought was perfect. And she said, imagine you've got, this pile of golf balls, a pile of pebbles, and a pile of sand, right? And they all have to go into the jar. Okay. Now, if you go ahead and you put the sand in and then you put the pebbles in, you're never going to get those golf balls in there, right? Or if you put the sand in the other way, if you put the pebbles in and then you put the sand in, then you're never going to get the golf balls in there. So you have to start with the things that are most important to you, putting those golf balls in there first, and then allowing the pebbles to go in next to fill in all those
Yeah.
spaces, and then the sand going in. So I love that she was like, I can fit all these things in, but the first thing I need to do is make sure that I'm putting my priorities in place. And for her, that was God, family, and her health. So I thought that was a brilliant analogy, because if we don't prioritize the stuff, then the truth is it just doesn't happen. I don't know. I don't, for those of you who are watching, like I'm sure that you see that in your life. Like, what have you been trying to start or begin in incorporating into your life, and it just hasn't made it onto the plate? You're like, okay, tomorrow, 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 tomorrow. How about for you, Carissa?
Um,
You see this?
yes, I can relate to that, and I'm very excited to see you and Mandy speak. Because for me, it's all about the daily things,
Mhm.
right? It's those golf balls that I'm doing on a daily basis.
Yeah.
So being mindful, being present, and having patience are
Yeah.
huge for me, because sometimes I can get a little impatient, like this has to be done now. When it really doesn't. You
Yeah.
know, my daily practices of meditation and exercise and eating well, when I have those things in place, it's
Hmm.
amazing how the other things kind of
Yeah.
fall into place. But when I'm focusing on the other things that, yes, need to get done, but they don't always need to get done. Because my mind is like, okay, I have a list of 10. Those 10 things need to happen right now.
Yes.
And so I have to break them out into smaller pieces. Otherwise, I'll give myself anxiety. And
Yeah.
then I kind of just get stuck.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, I don't want to do anything now.
Exactly. It's like because it becomes overwhelming, right? And when we become overwhelmed, then we just shut down, right? Or we quit, or we stop doing, or we're like, oh, that wasn't that important, or whatever, right? So forget my workout for today, or I don't want to cook. I'm just going to order in or whatever, because we got to that space of overwhelm. So, but you're right. When those foundational things are in there, when you got your workout in, when you're eating well, when you're doing your meditation, then everything else does get a lot easier.
I feel like I could take on the world.
Yeah.
Like there are some days where I'm like, I am killing it today. And I just feel so good.
Yeah.
And then I can tell when I've missed going to yoga or missed, and I'm not talking I do like hours of meditation, just little check-ins here and there.
Yeah.
Really just kind of settle me.
Yeah.
And they're so beneficial. And I wish people knew how important it is and how it really does benefit you. The point is consistency.
Yeah. Well, the thing is, if we're going to reprogram our habits, right, we've got to reprogram our mind, which means we need to reprogram all of our thoughts and that cycle of thoughts and feelings. But the only way we do that is by that consistent reinforcement. Otherwise, it's so easy to fall back into the old thing. I know for me personally, too, one of the things that I'm personally working on right now is distraction, because gosh, it's so easy. You know, I know I talk about information overload all the time. And yeah, there is information overload. But yes, I see all these great things that pop into my inbox and I want to read them. And then you're like, oh, well, let me go learn more about this. Or I see a new article that gets posted, a new journal report or a new whatever. And it's like, oh, I want to go read that. And then all of a sudden you realize like your entire day is gone and you haven't accomplished anything, but you've learned a bunch of random stuff, right? A bunch of random stuff that doesn't actually benefit you or what your focus, your purpose, your mission is, what you've committed to. But now you've got a couple of, random bits of extra knowledge in your head. And while I am all about continuous learning, we have to, if we don't organize that at the rate that information is coming in today, then we end up at the mercy of everything else and then never accomplishing the things that we want to accomplish.
Yes.
Right? And then it's overwhelming. Then we get to the place where we're overwhelmed. Like, oh my gosh, I didn't get these 5 things done today. Oh no, that means I've got 15 things to do now tomorrow.
I do miss the days of no technology. Like just hearing you talk about it, like just 10, 15 years ago, I would be able to check my inbox or, pick up magazines, all the books that I've ordered. Most of them are still sitting in my bookcase, but I used to read all those books. I really miss those days. And now I find myself like, I'll pick up the phone to check my email for the 100th time, or I'll pick up the phone to look at that article instead of, so it becomes overwhelming, just how you just said, like, and it just made me think like, oh, I really miss the days of no technology. It was so cool.
Yeah. It kind of, when you think about it, it's like, technology is a blessing and a curse.
Yeah.
Because the blessing is we can have access to so much more information, but the curse is that we've now given up connection to ourselves, connection to our priorities, connection to our time. That is a sacrifice that we've made for all of this, excess information. Those of you who are watching, hi, good to see you. Give us a hello in the chat box. Let us know that you're there and tell us about, how are you guys listening to this? What are you hearing in this for yourself? What are you noticing for yourself? How do these things play out, for you in your life? But it is certainly one of those things. It's like we all have the same amount of time, right? And we can choose where it is that our time goes. And I don't think we even realize how many of those little snippets of time get lost in all of these things. Like, oh, that email has such a headline capturing, attention capturing subject. I've got to click on it. And that is the intention of that attention capturing headline. And of course I want everyone to open our emails and read our emails. But again, it's like somebody else's agenda versus what it is that our agenda is. Hello, Paula. Good to see you here. Tell us how this is impacting you. How do you set your priorities and then follow through on priorities? I know, Carissa, when we're working with clients, they come to us because their commitment is to restore, regain, get back that power and control over our health.
Yeah.
And a lot of times they're coming in, they've been doing for some time, the throwing darts at the dartboard, trying to hit the bullseye. They're capturing all these snippets of information, trying to maybe apply something here and there, everywhere, but there's not that system and there's not that consistency, right? And so we end up frustrated without getting results. And I know that this is something that, we are all kind of, I think, struggling with in technology. Yeah, Paula says, put the phone down and away. And it's true, right? If you put the phone down, all of a sudden life becomes so different. So what strategies do you guys have for kind of stepping back so that you can put those larger size golf balls into your container first and make sure that everything else that you're wanting is at a priority? I mean, I'm with Paula. It's like, I got to turn my phone off and put it away.
Yes.
And then really monitor the time, because I'm curious about things, right? I'm when I'm going through my day and some sort of question comes up, like I do want to get that question answered, like, why is this happening? Or, oh, I wonder if there's a connection between these two things. And then my little rabbit brain or squirrel brain, right? That's what you guys call it, squirrel brain. My little squirrel brain goes off into that area. And it's like, okay, nope, just stay right here. Stay right here,
Yeah. I tend to usually put my phone on mute, especially because I'm working during the day. So I don't want it ringing when I'm talking with clients. However, sometimes that can give me anxiety because, like, when my children are out of the house or my husband's out of state. So I do make them my favorites, and then I do give them special phone rings so I know who's calling me. So I know if I need to, like, rush and pick up the phone or if I can just let it slide, which I really like. I really like doing.
Yeah.
That.
Yeah.
And I also do a goal list every day.
Yeah. The goal list is really important. So you know exactly what are you putting in there as your priorities for the day. Yeah.
Yeah. And I tend to do the same things every day, which is okay.
Yeah. Well, routine makes life a lot easier, right? When I know a lot of you guys, if you're clients of ours and we've talked about, creating new habits, I always said, put it on top of something that you already have, like brushing your teeth. Add something to brushing your teeth because you're going to brush your teeth. Well, hopefully you're brushing your teeth, right? At least a couple times a day. But you're going to do that. So just add on that new habit to kind of chunk it so that it has something to grab onto. Donna says, my memory is shot because of Google. Yeah, because it's not just Google and all the different incoming information. It's also the scroll and what the scroll does to our brain. It's the light from the electronic devices, the blue lights. It's a combination of all of these different things. Yeah, going for 6 or more hours with no phone is such a blessing for sure. And it's one of the things that we have to do. I think the other, I talked last week, right? I've got my sons working with a coach because you guys, how do you get more effective and efficient? You work with a coach. That's why our clients are so successful, right? Because they've got someone by their side who knows what to do, how to do it, when to do it, why to do it, has been through it thousands of times, can support you through it, and can see things you can't otherwise see, right? That's why I have my sons, working with a performance coach.
I have a coach.
Yeah, we all do. I have coaches too. It's so important if we want to like grow, succeed, and really strive forward in life, right? If you're not comfortable just staying where you are, but you want to continue to up level, you have a coach. That's just the way. That's just the way it is. But he was explaining. So the kids. So this coach works with a lot of motocross kids, and he was explaining that what he's seen over the years, and he's been doing this for a long time, is, all the boys, they get up, they're on the start line, they're waiting for the gate to drop. And he says, you just have to watch their, because they all wear the safety helmets. He said, you just have to watch the helmets. He said, the kids have nowadays, they have about a 5-second attention span, right? So he'll see about every 5 seconds, the helmet will move because they can only focus for that 5 seconds. Why is that? Because the technology has us limited. Think about how long is a reel. It's only a few seconds, right? How long are these things? So we're now programmed into just having that short of focus, that short of attention, and then we're like off to something else. And that is a really big problem, especially if we're looking to reaching and attaining our goals. So I like what you said, Carissa, is that the meditation piece, I think, is more so than ever. Yeah.
Slows, even just, I try to be mindful in a lot of the things I do, even just washing my hands.
Mm-hmm.
I've learned that meditation can really take place wherever. It doesn't have to be on my mat. It doesn't have to be with music. It could just be being totally present, walking, even exercising, and it's interesting, like with exercising, when you really tune into your body, what happens, but I notice for me, I just have to keep practicing, but there's that constant switch.
Yeah.
Like in my head, in my body, in my head, in my body.
Yes.
And so I hope to one day achieve to be more in my body, because I find when I am more in my body, I work better.
Yeah, we all do.
Through exercises better. And I'm like, wow, I'm pretty strong. But once I get up here,
forget it. You're like, I gotta stop.
Yeah, like you should stop. You should take a break.
You're really tired. I think you've done enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's so true. Just so you can. I think that's an important thing for people to know. Like, just bringing that mindfulness through to your day to day is really important. But I encourage people, even if it's like 5 minutes when you wake up or 5 minutes before you go to bed, like at the minimum, is to just sit, and the objective is to bring your mind to nothing. Right now, that's the objective, right? That's the goal all the way up here. But the power in building that muscle is in realizing when our brain has like gone off on another tangent. But the more that we can catch those tangents and bring them back in, the more and more we can redevelop that focus. And when we have that focus, that allows us to attain our goals so much more easily. And you guys, I know you're all like, yeah, okay, my brain never stops. I get it. But that's all the more reason why we have to keep bringing that focus and attention to that place. We've got to continue that practice, right? We've got to continue that practice.
And I think that's really special what you just said too, because I feel like you can apply that in other areas, like with reading. If your attention span is low, just pick up a book for 10 minutes. Just concentrate for 10 minutes, put it down till tomorrow. Same thing with exercise. Give yourself 10 minutes, put it down, do it again tomorrow. Cleaning your room, anything that kind of gives you that like, oh, I don't have the bandwidth for this or the capacity to deal with this. Small little increments. So I love that, because that's how I started meditating and doing things, was like 5 minutes. Because thinking of 5 minutes, I'm like, easy. I got this. And you just build from there. So that's really cool.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, you guys who are listening, what are you hearing? What are you thinking? Or what strategies do you have to make sure that you're getting your priorities set up there? I mean, the other piece that I find that's really important too is knowing what your priorities are, right? Knowing what they are. So if we don't know, like you said, you write out your top couple goals for the day every day. So you go into your day knowing what your priorities are for the day. You already are setting up that intention and focus. If we don't know where we're going, we're not getting there.
Yeah.
Right. So we've got to understand where it is that we're going. Like when I work with clients, the first time we meet, we rate all of the different things they're dealing with, their sleep, their digestion, their energy levels. Maybe it's hot flashes, or it's anxiety or depression, or dry skin, or whatever it is for people, constipation, diarrhea, whatever it is that's on their list. And then our goal is to improve those things. So we got to constantly look and track to make sure that we're headed for that goal.
It's a very good point. Yes.
So that's another important piece. Like, one of the things I'm working with my boys on now, and any of you who are clients, we're always working on this with you too, is like, track your food. You really don't know until you actually start to write it down or, enter it somewhere. But you really don't know, because we don't realize, because so much of our time we do things mindlessly. So we're not connecting it, or our brain has moved on to the next project that it doesn't remember. Well, what were those other three things? The hardest question when I work with clients is, okay, so tell me what you ate yesterday.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. And you think you'll remember, but you really don't.
Exactly.
Because how often do we mindfully eat? How often do we pay attention to the texture, to the taste, to the smell? I know, just either in other forms of work that I've done, it was always quick, eat as quick as you can, because you have lots of other things to do. So I'm still training myself.
Yeah.
And it's a whole lot easier when you're around the people you love, friends, family, because you can talk, so you're not just eating very quick.
Yes.
But yeah, paying attention to the taste and texture is really mindful and a beautiful thing to do, and very helpful.
Imagine that. How many times have you said, or how many times have you heard people say, Carissa, I'm just so bored with my food. Like, I'm just bored. Like, I'm just bored with eating. And then you're like, well, when's the last time you really tasted your food?
Yeah. Or we tend to overeat too.
Yes.
We're not really satisfying anything until all of a sudden, 20 minutes later of constant eating, it hits our belly, and then we're like, ow.
Yeah. But that is like, what you said before, that's because we're in our heads and we're not actually in our bodies. Right. And that is that art and practice of getting more present, more in tune, more into your body, because there's so much more accessible here than there is up here.
Very true. And I don't think I can speak for myself, but I don't always access the presence of my body often.
Yeah. 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 Not even just accessing the presence of your body too, but how often do you say thank you? Like, thank you. Like, how often are we grateful? Are you guys like type into the comment section? How often are you grateful for your body? Like, truly grateful. Like, a lot of times we're like, oh, well, I don't like the way this is, and I don't like the way that is, and oh my gosh, my body's doing this, or oh my goodness. But we're never like, it takes something to have that remembrance, like, oh my gosh, that I was given, right? It is the most amazing gift that we are given, right? We don't get to be here without this gift. And so it's all the more reason to connect with it, to be intentional about it, to nurture it, to love it, to give it what it needs. But when we're disconnected, it's a lot easier to, I don't know, grab a hamburger at McDonald's or something extreme. And I know that's an extreme example, or something extreme like that, because then you're not even realizing what the impact is. Yeah. Donna says, I'm practicing being grateful for my body every day. I love that, Donna. That is such a key thing that we all really need to do, even if it's just for a couple seconds, right? Just to have that remembrance. But Carissa, it's funny. Sometimes people in our programs, they'll say, well, I never realized that my body was reacting to such and such thing.
Yes.
Right? Like, it happens all the time. And it's because one of the things that happens as people are going through their programs, and as they're working on their health, is they're starting to pay more attention to their body, more attention to their health. And now, like, those things that we just brushed off or didn't even pay attention to, now we're noticing, like, oh, yeah, I ate that, and that kind of like, upset my stomach a little bit. Or, hey, look at that, I got this patch of dry skin here. Like, the connections now are being made, whereas before they weren't even being made. And so that's the beauty of just being aware and present to the things at hand.
Well, even the stress and overwhelm too can have a lot to do with what we're putting into our bodies. You know, life is stressful. No one's getting out of that, right? So, I know that like when I'm not eating my best, it comes on like tenfold. And it's so easy to be like, oh, it's because of that.
Mm-hmm.
A lot has to do with how I'm taking care of myself.
Yeah.
Really.
Yeah, it does. It does. It's, it's the funny thing is we, those of you who are in our programs, we always like stress is one of those things we rate early on too.
Mhm.
And it's one of those things that we track. And people's a lot, people might have an 8 or 9 or a 10 stress rating when they start on their program. And then all of a sudden by the end of their program, their stress level is, like a 3, a 2, a 1. And it's not like their circumstances in life haven't changed, right? It's their physical stamina, the way that they're feeling in their body, their connection to their body, and the more presence and mindfulness that they're bringing into their life now that makes that critical difference between.
Oh yeah, 1000%. I see it all the time.
Yeah. I mean, you got to think about, so if we're constantly barraging our body with all the negative thoughts, the negative feelings, the negative stuff. I mean, you think about, they've done experiments with plants, right? They'll take 2 plants and they'll give one plant all the positive, loving words, and the other plant they're going to give all the negative words. And the plant that thrives and grows and survives and is at its best is the one that got all those loving thoughts and words and all of that, right? They can be fed the same thing, but what that dialogue is makes a really big difference. So yeah, that gratitude, Donna, I'm so glad that you're practicing being grateful for your body every day, because that really makes a huge difference.
It does. Funny story, and people in the practice probably know the body affirmation that we have. I've said it to a few of my plants that weren't doing well, and over some time, they've done better.
I love that.
Joe actually came up with it. He's like, I've been saying the affirmation to the plant. I was like, okay, let's continue. And it's turned around. Yeah.
That's awesome. Yeah. Well, it's so true. Everything is energetic, right? Yeah. And you said something too, like, okay, life is hard, but so it's going to be difficult to not feel good and sacrifice things in a way that doesn't leave us happy, fulfilled, and satisfied. And it's gonna be challenging as well to like be like, okay, these are my goals and I'm going to move forward with our goals. So either way, it's going to be challenging. The question is, what's the outcome on the other side, and which outcome is more worth it for you? So, that's the thing to always think about. I keep telling my kids that, right?
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah. Beautiful. All right, everyone. Thank you for joining us here today in the Lunch and Learn Live. We are here on Mondays at 12:30 Eastern Standard Time. If you've got things you want us to discuss or talk about or questions, drop them in the comments section. We see them, and we want to make sure that we get all of those different things addressed. So I hope that you're taking something away today. Maybe it's the waking up in the morning and just being grateful for your body. Maybe it's figuring out what are those top 3 goals going to be for your day. Maybe it's figuring out what are those golf balls that you're putting in your jar first. What are those main priorities that are going to be most important that the rest of your life is going to fill in the other spaces outside of that. You're welcome. All right, guys, have a wonderful, wonderful week. We'll see you soon.
Bye, everyone.
Bye.